Now, arguably among the most serious bills on the chopping block at risk of failing due to a political game of chicken, legislation critical to Israel being able to join the United States' visa waiver program. And so critical is this bill that United States Ambassador Tom Nides is making a rare plea to Israeli lawmakers, particularly from within the Likud, to put Israelis first and support the bill's advancement. Marc Schulman, political analyst and columnist for Newsweek, is joining me to discuss. Marc, it's been a while. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the bills include giving the United States limited access to Israeli criminal records and information on incoming travelers. And if Israel doesn't get into the waiver program, it'll be at least another year before the next chance. Do you think that Nides' plea will bear fruit?
Possibly, but I doubt it. I mean, former Prime Minister Netanyahu has only one goal always, and that's to get the political advantage. And I think he fears that if this goes through, the current government will get credit for doing it, which they actually deserve because they did push it through. And he doesn't want to make sure that they get any credit for anything. He wants to run on the fact this was an incompetent government that fell apart. And the more he can do that, the better for him. So what does he care? He doesn't need the visa waiver program. He gets in anyway, right? So it's one of a many long list of things that
can't the Likud share some of the credit by passing it? I mean, if the entire Knesset votes unanimously to pass this visa waiver program, can't they share some of that success?
Well, they could if you want to, but the fact of the matter is all the details are worked out by Elit Shaked and the Ministry of Interior working opposite Ambassador Nides. So a lot of details are involved in all this, and all those were worked out over the past couple of months. So yes, of course they can get the credit. Look, the same thing with the Metro bill. The Metro idea originated under Netanyahu. The fact of the matter is that this government, under Merav Michaeli's transportation minister, did all the detailed work to bring the bill to the Knesset, passed the first reading, passed all the committees of the Knesset, but now they want to stop it because, again, same sort of reasoning. They don't want this government to get any credit for anything. And that's really a problem, frankly, because we need, one of the big problems we have is we're going into elections, but we all know that it may not be the only election we had. Last time it took us 3 elections to get a government. And who knows what's going to happen this time? And until there's a government, you can't do any of these things.
Well, Ambassador Nides is saying that he personally worked around the clock since taking office to help Israel meet all of the United States requirements instead of the global requirements for these waivers. If this opportunity passes by, how might it affect Israel-U.S. relations?
I don't know if it'll affect the relations. It'll affect, of course, Nides feeling that, he worked for nothing. I think Israelis have to worry a little bit because there was pushback among some of the progressives against Israel joining the program because of the question of how we treat Palestinian Americans when they arrive in Israel. And somehow Nides managed to overcome those objections and the current administration overcame them. So I think, we really need to strike while the iron is hot and not take a chance that opposition could grow in between.
All right, so again, though, why the game of chicken with this bill in particular? Because there are several other bills that are being held hostage, but there are several that were passed, including, climate change bills, and price hikes and things like that.
Because this will be popular. It's a popular bill. It's a bill that Israelis really want. It's, if you've known Israelis who have to try to get a visa, it's a long process. Right now, I think it's like a 2-year wait to get an interview. The idea that, I know people who want to go to America, they have 2 years to get an interview. I mean, it's an absurd situation. But this way, we get rid of this whole issue. So it'll be very, very popular amongst Israelis. So who wants something popular to have been done by this government? That's what Netanyahu is thinking, and they could. We don't want to support anything that's going to be popular that they can say they did. Very short-term thinking, very political thinking. And, that's one of the biggest problems in the Israeli governmental system is everything comes down to politics, time and time again. The system doesn't work because everything comes down to politics.
Is that relatively new, though, where the opposition, here on our program not long ago, we had a Likud official saying that it is the job of the opposition to dissolve the coalition. Some might argue that that's fundamentally incorrect, though, that the job of the opposition is just to represent their parties as best as possible. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. I don't believe the goal of the opposition should be doing a good job in the opposition, showing what they believe in, what they think. And in 4 years, when the elections come, they should run and win an election. The system here where the opposition is scheming all the time, if possible, to bring down the government, is a terrible system. It wasn't always that way. It wasn't to this extent. Part of that is the take no prisoners political approach that Prime Minister Netanyahu has had throughout his more recent career, the sense that only he can be prime minister. So it's gotten worse. But the system encourages this kind of terrible behavior. The opposition should be presenting alternative ideas, alternative plans, alternative ways of doing things, but they should be working on behalf of the country.
All right, Marc Schulman, thank you so much as always.
My pleasure.
Hi everyone, it's Emmanuel Kadosh. I wanted to invite you all to subscribe to ILTV Plus, where you can find our daily news and updates about Israel. And not only that, but live feeds, entertainment, our kosher food show, and so much more. Needless to say, your subscription to ILTV Plus helps us grow and create more content while also supporting the state of Israel. Our app is available on all platforms and devices, so I'll see you guys there.